So the last thing we are going to add to this too is to add the mint leaf, a little bit of the mint leaf, so that we can be able to get the taste we desire. Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel, Chinedu iheonu. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to prepare this delicious Nigerian stew. So below this video is going to be a description how you can get it done to look and taste delicious. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so. Share this video to whoever that you think that will love this recipe and share it to them. So today I'm going to be showing you guys everything we need to make this delicious stew. We have here tomatoes, 3 big onions, 2 tomato paste, ginger, and a garlic. Here we have fresh mint leaf. Here we have nutmeg, pepper. We need this pepper to make the stew a little bit spicy. Bay leaves. This bay leaf is one of the things that will bring out the taste of the chicken and the beef. Here we have salt, adobo salt, and curry powder, crayfish, which will also bring the taste of the stew. If you don't have crayfish, that's okay. Have allspice ground, and the beef we are going to use to make stew, which I'm going to be cutting and be washing them off the camera, so hang tight. So this is the chicken and the beef we are going to use to make the stew. It has been cut and washed. So now it's to us to marinate. So we're going to be adding 1 teaspoon of curry. We're going to be adding dry bay leaves, a couple. I'm adding like 4 or 5. I'm adding 5 bay leaves. Thyme, ½ teaspoon of thyme, because this is not a big pot, it's like a medium pot stew, so you don't have to add so much spicy because it's going to be too concentrated. ½ teaspoon of adobo salt. I'm going to be also adding ½ teaspoon of salt. Remember, you don't have to add so much salt because you don't want salt to be too much. I'm going to be adding some chopped onions. I'm going to be adding ½ spoon of allspice ground. Now I'm going to let the meat to cook for like 45 minutes to an hour. I'm going to check it to see how tender the meat is. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and cut the onions and save like 1 onion for the frying of the stew. So I'm going to blend the onions, the garlic, and the ginger with the tomatoes. So this is I've cut the tomatoes, the onions, and everything. I'm going to add a little bit water so that it can be able to blend very well. Now I'm done blending the tomatoes. You can see how how smooth it is. You can see the meat has been cooking for the past 30 minutes. So I'm going to use my fork to check and see how tender this meat is right now. Like my chicken and beef, very tender. I don't want to strain my teeth, so I'm going to let it cook for a little bit more. So I'm not making a whole lot of stew, so I'm going to be using 2 cans of 6OZ of tomato paste, which is right here. I added like half cup of water to loosen the thickness because I want to get rid of the sour taste while making the stew. Okay, you can see how smooth it is, like the one I blended. Both have to be in the same consistency as we want. Yes, right now the meat is very tender, so I'm going to turn off the stove and let this to cool down for a little bit before we can take the meat out and go to the next step. So now we are going to separate the stock from the meat so that we can save the stock, because we are going to use the stock to cook the stew. I'm going to show you guys what's going to blow your mind at the end of this step. So let's go ahead and separate this. Now I'm going to sieve the stock into a bowl, because at this point the stock contains a lot of fat, which I'm going to show you by the end of this step. So we're going to sieve it. I don't want all these particles to get into the stock. Put it in the freezer to be able to get the fat out of the stock, because this is how people get unnecessary fat into their system. You can see the fat. I'm scooping it out, trying to separate the fat from the stock. I don't eat this because it's dangerous. That's why I don't buy stock from the store, because I don't know how they make it. Unfortunately, I don't know. Now we have stock free of fat, vegetable oil, which we are going to use to fry the meat. You can see the chicken is getting ready to be done. It's turning into a golden brown. So once you're done frying the meat, then you're going to sieve the oil to take away all these particles. You don't want these particles to get into your stew. Slice the onions, which I'm going to use to make the stew. So now you can see the oil which I saved from the frying of the meat is in the pot. So now I normally do this. I add some salt. Then I'm going to add the onions, which I've already sliced, into the oil. I'll give it like 2-3 minutes for the flavor to get into the oil Then I'm going to go ahead and add my fresh tomatoes. Just make sure you get everything into the oil. I'm using my spatula to get it in the oil. You have to stir it and maybe turn on the heat a little bit. Some people don't like to see the onions in their stew, but I like it this way. What matters is for it to taste good. You have to keep it open until it starts boiling. You can see the fresh tomato is now boiling, so I'm going to cook it for like 30 minutes to dry up a little bit before I can add the tomato paste, because I'm going to add the tomato paste right now into the tomato. Then you have to stir. You can see how it's looking. After 20 minutes, I put the tomato paste, tablespoon of salt, just to make sure each time you're adding salt to taste it before you add salt, but you don't want to put excess salt. Because so after an hour, you can see how it looks. Now I'm going to put my crayfish. If you don't have crayfish, that's okay. Just put a reasonable amount of chicken bullion. It will give you the same or equal taste. Nutmeg. Gives this stew a wonderful and a delicious aroma and taste. After 10 minutes, you add your crayfish and your nutmeg. You can see how your beef.
Yeah. Yeah, let's see if it's bubbly. So bubbly. I can see all these bubbles. So cool. Yeah.
So this is how the stew is going to look after 15-20 minutes. You add the stock. I'm not going to add so much stock. I'm going to add as much as, not to make it to be too watery, because I want it to be thick. You stir. Then you gotta let it to cook again, to boil. Maybe in the next 30 minutes you add the mint leaf. Then the stew is gonna be ready in about 30-35 minutes. You got to make sure you cover it because you don't want splashes, okay? So the last thing we are going to add to this stew is to add the mint leaf, a little bit of the mint leaf, so that we can be able to get the taste we desire. At this point, we're going to let it to cook for like 5 minutes. You see how the stew looks? We can cover it at this point. Hello guys, hope you see how the stew looks right now. It's ready to go. You can enjoy this stew with rice. You can enjoy it with whatever choice of food that you want. It looks yummy and is really yummy.